Do you like Pink Floyd?
I like certain songs of Pink Floyd.
I don't like Pink Floyd.
Do you like the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
No.
Okay, good.
Back to Pink Floyd.
Okay.
I think probably their most popular album is called The Wall.
I think so.
See what I did there?
That's why I was like, yeah, I like that. Okay. Yes. The Wall. That's good. Another brick in the wall, right? Building the wall.
Last series, you talked about the wall that's in sleep medicine.
Yes.
Define the wall for me.
Well, I think there are a lot of walls. The wall I was referring to is the wall between the medical community who treats sleep and the dental sleep medicine community. That's the specific wall. But I think there are many other walls there too. So it's like sort of a maze.
Yeah, there's this sort of internecine warfare.
Yeah.
Not just between medical and dental, but then within each of those. Right.
Absolutely.
My appliance is better than your appliance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just walls and walls and walls. And then, who's on the other side of that? Patients who are just, they don't, we talked about this last time. They don't care about your walls. They don't care about your flock. They don't care about any of this stuff. They just want to breathe and they just want to sleep. And we're not really helping them. Like, I guess that's my belief. But back to the wall, I'd say, yeah, it's the wall I was referring to is that as the system has been constructed, a dentist who wants to be treating sleep patients, sleep disordered breathing patients, has to figure out a way how to interact with the medical community. And there's various ways you can do that, but basically they're on the other side of that wall. And if you're on the medical side of that wall, it is theoretically easier because we can diagnose, we can do a sleep study, we can order treatment, we could theoretically deliver treatment, that kind of thing. But I do feel like for a dental sleep medicine professional that they've got to figure out a way to get the ball from the medicine side. And the frustrating part of things, I would imagine, is it's when you're standing on the outside trying to look in, it's not easy. And in fact, I think it's sort of impossible.
Almost impossible. Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah. Last time we spoke, you talked about the strength of the individual, and while it's seemingly impossible, there are dozens of dentists. There are 180,000, close to 200,000 dentists in the U.S. There are dozens of dentists treating, 100 plus patients per month.
Okay.
It's an abysmal number. Having said that, it's evidence that it can be done. Correct. Those dentists face the same challenges, the same issues that all these, the other 180,900 dentists face.
Yeah.
So it can be done. And you've shown that an ENT can treat a lot of patients with oral appliance therapy every month, every year.
Correct.
What's different? What's different about those dentists? What's different about you than your colleagues that are on the other side of that wall wishing they could do more?
I think there's probably focus is a key component. Focus and sort of the force of will. And you tell me, but in my understanding, many dentists who are part of the dental sleep medicine community have traditional dental practices, and dental sleep is just a component of that. Help me. Is that true? Where most dentists
most dentists aren't treating sleep exclusively. Yes.
The dentists and kind of that posse that are high volume, most of them, all of them are exclusive.
Not all, but most.
Most.
Yes.
So to me, that's a clear distinction. And then it's like, well, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Did they just have so many patients that they could just shut it down everywhere else? Or did they say, no, this is important, I'm going to do this? And it's probably some mixture of both of those things, in my opinion. Yeah. So I guess where I'm going is I think that focus and then sort of sheer force of will is, I'll just speak for myself. I can't speak for the dental sleep folks are doing, a kick-ass job, applaud the work that they're doing. And just to be clear, I think that's outstanding. And I think I wish nothing more than those individuals continue to lead that charge. And I wish nothing more that they, sort of spread the gospel so that there are more people in the dental sleep medicine community treating more patients. I'm all about trying to expand access to effective treatments options, not to minimize access. But back to how is somebody successful? How is somebody not? I think it's, again, sheer force of will. I know in your book, you talk a lot about, sort of mindset and methodology about how to go about going from sort of, let's call it 0 to 1, going from kind of not having really a dental sleep practice to having one. And I think, to me, the answer on basically for those individuals that aren't, let's say, aren't successful, meaning they're not getting the volume of patients or doing the volume that they would like to do, I think a likely explanation for that is lack of focus and lack of will. At some point, and I'll just speak for kind of what we've done at Advent, is what we did at Advent is we basically scuttle the boats or scuttle the ships. I don't know if you know that terminology. You know who Cortez was?
Yes.
Cortez, conquistador.
Went into Florida. Yes.
No, it went to Mexico. And anyway, Hernan Cortez.
Yes, burn the ships.
Burn the ships.
Yeah,
So what does burn the ships mean? He came with his people. Everybody was thinking about, when can we go back? We're over here. We're in we're this foreign country. When are we going to go back? When are we going to go back? And he got tired of it. And he'd said, torch them. We're not going back. Yeah. We're here. So
marching inland.
Yeah. And I mean, he's a brutal, horrible person that did horrible things. But I'm just going to use his analogy. I'm not going to use his brutality. But I'd say the analogy is, at some point you have to be willing to leave your comfort zone. And it is what's uncomfortable. And in going into this dental sleep space or really whatever, it doesn't even have to be dental sleep, but whatever the space that is, you have to be willing to leave behind things that are no longer serving you a purpose. Most people are not willing to do that. Mm-hmm. And if you're not willing to do that, you'll never be successful. That's my strong opinion in this particular area. Now, you might have a very successful dental practice. Mm-hmm. Kudos to you. But as far as actually treating individuals who have sleep disordered breathing, if you do it as a hobby, mm-hmm. I mean, nice hobby. But,
so what was the inflection point for you at Advent, where you decided that oral appliance therapy was something you were going to focus on?
I think oral appliance therapy sort of came almost as a afterthought. It really was. I mean, I know this is the focus of what we're talking about. To me, the reason that I do what I do, the reason that Advent does what it does, was that I saw patient after patient who were being injured, dismissed, harmed, damaged by interacting with the traditional healthcare model as it relates to nose and throat, we call the breathing triangle. And I got tired of seeing those people and their trauma. And I decided enough is enough. And so what does that mean? And we're talking probably 10 years ago at this point. I decided I'm no longer going to sit around and wait for somebody to have to go to their PCP into a hospital and kind of get slapped around, get shoved a CPAP mask and not use it, and then kind of, sort of mope around and kind of be dejected and dismissed before they got to me. I'm simply going to step in front of the rest of those individuals, and I'm going to get to those people first. I'm going to get the word out so those individuals know that there's a place that focuses exclusively on the nose and throat.
And stepping out front like that, though, you're also exposing yourself to arrows and
sure, absolutely, which is cool. We talked about this last time. There's slings and arrows, bring them, basically a patient of mine, and I'm still active clinically, but a patient at Advent, there's nothing that our entire existence is here to serve you, and we are your guide, and we are going to get you to, sort of the promised land. Mm-hmm. That's the mindset I've always had for my patients. That's the mindset we have as a practice. Everything else is sort of secondary. I mean, all the chatter is chatter, but if it's going to, if it doesn't serve that purpose, I don't really, it's not concerning to me. Mm-hmm. So if hospitals are a little annoyed with what we're doing, let them be annoyed. If certain dental sleep medicine colleagues are annoyed, fine, be annoyed if, whatever the case may be. And I don't do that. Again, I'm not doing that to annoy them. I'm doing that because I have a purpose to serve, and that's the patients that I'm seeing. But I guess back to kind of that story arc, it was me seeing a massive area of need and knowing that I have all of the tools that are necessary to help that area. And when I'm saying all the tools, what does he mean when he says all the tools? I'm a nose and throat doctor. I'm an ear, nose, and throat doctor. I'm a head and neck surgeon. This is my territory. A nose that's working combined with a throat that's open is powerful. And we don't need exotic and esoteric. We need simple and repeatable and effective. And that's what we do at Advent. And so, oral appliance therapy is just something that's I don't know, it's the fries with your burger kind of a thing. It's not the reason that we're here, but it's an important component to get somebody, the treatment that they need. But back to focus was the key. Focus on this is an important thing. And I mean, focus so much that we've defined it as its own category. So the breathing triangle is a category, meaning that sleep apnea is a condition that exists. Obstructive sleep apnea is a condition that exists within the breathing triangle. And part of that definition, that's a way for me to think. That's a way for my providers to think. That's a way for patients to think. It's a simple way to say, yeah, that makes sense, and this is really important.
Yeah. So going back to the wall, if you can just estimate approximately what percentage of your patients, for your patients, do you prescribe CPAP or PAP therapy versus oral appliance therapy?
Oof.
Rough estimate.
Yeah, it's probably, in today's world, I'd say 50-50.
Yeah?
Honestly, it's probably more CPAP than oral appliance therapy. And that's not how I do it.
Well, that's what I'm asking. At Advent.
I'm saying that's how we do it at Advent. And it's like, well, how could I be saying that we're 50-50 when he's such a big proponent for oral appliance therapy? As much as you think people, my people listen to me, they don't listen to me. So honestly, I think it's more of oral appliance. Oral appliance therapy in my various clinic locations was very difficult prior to us bringing it in-house, and we're still just sort of ramping that up. And so my providers are used to a world where oral appliance therapy is actually hard to get to.
So 50-50, even though you're such a proponent.
Yeah.
Even that is incredibly favorable for oral appliance therapy compared to, nationally, what the prescription habits are.
Sure. What's
going on there?
Yeah.
I mean, why aren't more physicians prescribing oral appliance therapy?
Yeah.
Because that number is probably something more like 99-1.
Correct. Yeah. And what I think Advent's currently 50-50. How I view it, I view for our patients who have sleep apnea and primary snoring, and for whom a device is a good option. My opinion is we at Advent will be an oral appliance therapy first practice. We're nose first practice, oral appliance therapy first practice, and move into CPAP or throat surgery or Inspire surgery only if necessary. Like that's where we're going. We're not there yet. We're on the journey.
But many of your colleagues, a patient with mild apnea, mild OSA, they're getting a PAP.
Absolutely. So yeah, in the traditional world, whether it's ENT or sleep medicine or primary care, I don't even know what you call that. It's probably what CPAP. The people who are ordering these things, CPAP to oral appliance therapy. There's a number in my head that's like 6%, but I agree. I think it's probably 99.9% CPAP, PAP, 0.1% oral appliance therapy. That's the wall.
Yeah, right. So what happens? How do you knock down that wall? How do you scale that wall? Well, let me ask you differently. Can that be done on a national scale, on a global scale, or can it only be done by the focused will to power by individuals?
I think it can. I think it can only be done by the focused will of individuals. I think it's the right way to treat patients. I think the the current system. I mean, basically, the only way to create the future that you want to exist is to be able and willing to disrupt the present. You cannot evolve gradually and naturally into, sort of this future state. As a specific example, let's call it 50-50. Let's say we want a country, let's focus on America. We want a country where it's 50-50. If for people who have sleep apnea, half of them are on oral appliance therapy, half of them are in CPAP. Great. I think it should be actually more than that, but just as a specific example. Cool. You can't go and, let's get like some thought leaders together. We'll have a meeting and we'll talk about this future existence, and let's talk about it. That'd be really cool. That's cool. Like, yeah, this makes sense. And let's, we'll have a couple of drinks and we'll talk about, oh, that's great. And then nothing's going to happen. That's not going to happen. It doesn't happen that way. So how are you going to create that future that you want? You're going to, you meaning a specific individual, specific entity, are going to take an action to disrupt what's happening. That's what we're trying to do at Advent, honestly. I mean, I said this before, but I am going to be the change that I want to see. Sure. We're on a pathway. We're not there yet. But yeah, I mean, back to the wall and kind of the current state. The question I think you asked before is, well, why aren't more people going into oral appliance? Why isn't this happening? Like primary care, sleep med. Why don't they think oral appliance therapy first? Like he just said, oral appliance therapy should be the first line treatment for obstructive sleep apnea. How come that's not happening? And we've talked about this a little bit, but I think there are,
and it's not just you. I mean, it's the AASM, practice guidelines say the same thing for certain patients. So
sure. Yeah, no, I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. So, I mean, so why isn't it happening? And I think, honestly, back to what we were talking about before, dental sleep medicine needs a kind of a handoff, or they need the ball passed to them. They're on the other side of the wall. And so they're waiting there, patiently or impatiently, but they need to get the handoff. And so why isn't the ball getting handed off more? My honest answer from the medical side of the fence is, I don't think anybody actually cares on this side of the fence about sleep apnea, about this whole condition. And in fact, I think as I think about it,
sorry, let me interject for a second. I mean, that can't be the case, because there are a lot of PAPs being prescribed.
Sort of, although how many, there are some being prescribed a microfraction compared to, if PAP was your only,
to the actual yes.
issue. I really don't think that people don't. When I say people, I mean physicians and nurse practitioners and PAs in the medical house, whether they're primary care or even sleep. I mean, you think they care passionately. I've not seen that level of passion in it, and I feel like in medicine in general, there's a malaise right now, and it's probably just the destiny that we've chosen as a country. Is there's very few people in medicine who actually care about patient care anymore. We've neutered them, and that happened probably over the last 20 to 30 years as physicians went from individual, independent, powerful entities to employed, powerless individuals stuck in these systems. Mm-hmm. They're just clocking in and clocking out. And I mean, it's not like they don't care, but they don't care a lot, and they certainly aren't going to care enough to make them go out of their way. Like, I guess you take a typical doc in a typical system and you say, sleep apnea is a big deal, right? Yeah, it's a big deal. Hey, I'm coming here. I'm from the dental sleep community. I got this great treatment. It's going to really help a lot of your patients. Cool. That's great. Here's what I need out of you. I need you for the patients that have sleep apnea. Let's just focus on mild for now. I would love it if you would send those my way, and I'll do a Johnny on the spot job. Bang up, get them treated properly. They'll be happy. So forth and so on. Yep. And what is this doctor thinking? It sounds hard. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, okay. It's almost.
Did they care? Did they care at the genesis of their career? They got bitter, jaded, worn down? Or did they never care?
I don't know the answer. I think they did. I think they cared before the system sort of beat them into submission, potentially. I don't really even know.
But because then wouldn't you see younger clinicians prescribe. I mean,
you would be different, right?
It would be different, yes.
Yeah, and I don't
That's
think
all
it
you
is
know.
any different. In fact, I think it's probably worse because the younger physicians are getting trained by the older physicians who, it's just very sort of laissez-faire, you know, I don't know, acceptance of pathetic treatment choices. I don't know how to describe it, but it isn't going to happen by magic. And unfortunately, the reality for dental sleep medicine is they need this medical community to snap in to it. Like, wake up here. What are we doing? And I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, don't mean to be a downer, but it's true. I don't see a future in current state right now. And I'm trying to do my own thing, and we'll see kind of how far down the road we can get. But anyway, it's not as much as I would hope and think that things are going to move in the right direction. They're not going to move in the right direction unless there are individuals who are willing to force it to move.
What about some of the governing bodies, the organizational structures? Will any of those have any sort of meaningful impact? The ASMs, the ADSMs of the world? No?
No. I'm not giving you anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say, from my understanding, the issue that seems to be the most passionate issue for the sleep medicine community is daylight savings time. It's killer, you know that?
Doesn't bother me. I live in Arizona.
You're immune.
Yeah.
But they get, I mean, every year, well, twice a year, I see a lot of passion. It's like exciting. And I'm like, yeah, I think it's annoying too. But no, I don't think any of these governors, I mean, we talked about this out of the gate. I believe in the power of the individual.
Yeah.
And these organizations, I'm not against them, but organizations like that, I guess I'd say what change has any of those organizations have actually made? Like, I mean, they pass things, and it allows people to come together. But those organizations don't create change. Yeah. People create change.
So, as someone who hosts one of those meetings that you talked about that brings everyone together and they have a couple of drinks,
yeah,
I would say the benefit of something like that is that it does get like-minded people together. Now, most of those people, 98% of those people are going to leave and go back to things as they were.
Yeah.
And they'll live with the regret of knowing that they should be doing something that they're not doing. For a couple of weeks. And then that will dissipate and everything will just go back to what it was.
Yeah.
There is that 1%, or potentially even that one person that here's something that you say from the stage that has a conversation that really does incite some change, that gives them that focus, that helps ignite that will to power that you're talking about. I think that's very real. And I think that makes it worth it. Not trying to be an apologist for meetings, because a lot of them are nonsense.
Sure.
But they're not all created equal.
Yours is going to be kick-ass, I think. But no, I don't. I mean, I'm a realist, and I'd say, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we're saying the same thing. It takes sort of the light going off in an individual who's willing to do something that meaning taking action.
But that's what really upsets me, offends me about so much of this is I hear so many clinicians on both sides of the wall pointing to the top of the wall, to the being up there that's supposed to topple it for them, and then everything will change. Until then, I'm just going to keep going as I am, and when that happens,
it's going to be great.
All bets are off. It's going to be amazing.
Correct.
But to your point, it's up to the individual. And
Absolutely.
That's where people don't want to take action. It's uncomfortable, right? It's there's a learning curve. There's some injury to the ego. And a lot of clinicians, I think, on both sides of the wall, they make decent money.
Sure.
So there are these velvet handcuffs. Well, I'm not going to really make any change because I'm doing okay.
Absolutely.
And that's where that's where I don't sometimes I feel like I'm shouting into a void. And at the same time, occasionally I'll run into someone who's heard something I've said, read something I've written, and they said, that really resonated, and I changed these things, or I changed this mindset as a result of that.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it worthwhile. But it puts the onus on the individual. And as we've talked about, most people are, they follow the flock mentality, and they're resistant to change, and they're resistant to enduring hardship, which is what you have to do. It's the hero's journey, right? You've got to go through all these challenges and these hardships to come out the hero at the end. Most people don't want to do that.
It sounds hard. It is hard.
It is. It is.
Who wants to do hard things? I mean, and I would definitively say, comfort is the enemy of growth. It's the enemy of change.
Yes.
If you think about,
So who wants to do hard things? People that want to grow, people that want to develop, people that want more.
right, and most people don't.
And most people don't.
Don't want
So
those
again,
things.
it puts the emphasis on the individual.
Correct.
So you'll be at this meeting in February. There'll be a few hundred people there.
Yeah.
Let's say there are 300 people there. We can estimate that 3 of them will go forth and make some sort of significant, meaningful change as a result of
Yeah.
what they experienced there.
Yeah, and 3 is better than nothing. I would certainly agree. But 6 would be better than 3. And I think for me, as I think about it, what does it take? It is, the more comfortable somebody is, the harder it is going to be to cause them to want to take action. Honestly, and I think
Pain is a great motivator.
it is absolutely a great motivator. And so, how do you say this? So I think for me, what it took was feeling, I talked about it just now, is feeling the pain on behalf of my patients. And that's what motivated me. I was in a very comfortable existence when I sort of kind of the light bulb went off for me. And when that light bulb went off, I was in a very comfortable existence, and I had, general sense of purpose, and that's great. So cool. I think when I started to really, truly feel kind of the pain on behalf of my patients, that sense of purpose became an overwhelming gravitational force. And I've just simply everything I'm doing is simply just sort of like I'm just being sucked towards that. So that's what it caused me to be, start on the journey that I'm on. It's what caused my organization to, willingly or not willingly to get dragged forward by me. And that's been, the most fantastical ride imaginable. So that's where, how do you say, I guess why I'm saying it the way I'm saying it is that's to be able to live a life with a clear sense of purpose is a very unusual and fortunate place to be in. Comfort is not a substitute for that. Yet it is it's very enticing. It's intoxicating. It sort of lulls you into that. And so I don't know. I don't have an answer. I guess to me, it'd be if I had a hammer or whatever I needed to knock somebody up against the head. And what I will say is, I guess my attempted hammer is simply to try to speak with passion and conviction about the conditions that I treat, because I think anybody who's coming to your conference that is interested in helping individuals who are suffering from these conditions, if they truly can kind of sort of, wipe the sleep out of their eyes and see how important this is, how important this work is, that I think they will take that first step in a forward direction towards that sense of purpose. But until they are willing to do that, like that's for other people. I guess to me, it's like taking that wall down, kind of what you said and kind of what I've said before is somebody else should do that. And I said this on the last thing about, it's not the critic that counts, is that as you're taking these bricks down, sweating, blood coming out of your pores, taking these bricks down, what will also happen is people will be looking at you and they'll be critiquing your technique on taking those bricks down. Sure. They'll be like, it is not the critic that counts. And I mean, you're talking about the 99% of people who leave the meetings and kind of like, whatever, go about their business. I think those same 99 are in the critic. Many of them are in the critic camp who are looking at the 1% and with envy. So I actually think people who go to these meetings, there are the doers and the people who make stuff happen. And then there are the critics who just go gently to their seats and they sit there and they, whatever, I don't know. There may be a few emotions, but envy is probably a big one.
Yeah. So a lot of those people, though, I think they go with the best of intentions.
I agree.
And it's taking what they've experienced and putting it into action. Mm-hmm. That's the challenging part.
Sure.
And one thing that I see a lot amongst a lot of practices that are really successful is there seems to be a really charismatic leader. Mm-hmm. Sort of runs the show. And some of those people that go to their seats that you just described
aren't that.
Sure, thanks.
Not that.
Thanks for preventing me from calling them dullards, which I think I just did. But I mean, you're pretty charismatic.
Some would say. I don't. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just reading the screen. The script on the screen.
Yeah, it's Jason says you're charismatic. Yeah. You're a good person, right?
But I mean, you're pretty charismatic. You've got a strong sense of self. Mm-hmm. Is that a part of what drives this?
I'll kind of go the opposite way. I've become charismatic, or attempted to become charismatic, because it's what I've needed to do to serve my purpose. Uh-huh. I was a sheep. Let me just, I guess my natural state is sheep-like in the pack. And as much as I, talk about the black sheep and the individual, I don't want to be doing, like when I say I don't want to be doing this, like I'd rather be sort of on the team, not leading the charge. Mm-hmm. I mean, my best position is on the team, and whatever you want, basically my best position is on the team, and whatever is the best thing for the team, I'll do it. And in my current state, what's the best thing for this team is for me to attempt to be charismatic, for me to, make myself into what's necessary to make this thing happen. Mm-hmm. But it's not fake. It's a part of who I am, but it's who I've forced myself to be because it's what's necessary.
Yeah. So you're a leader, but you've got to lead the team.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to talk about next time.
All right.
So for now, kumbaya.
Oh man, kumbaya. No hand holding though. All disappointment exists in the gap between expectations and reality, and getting crystal clear on what the delta is between current reality and expectations, and then figuring out what are we doing about that.